You're listening to the Life Coaching Secrets Podcast, episode 148. Did you know that life coaches are needed now more than ever? I'm Frank Macri, founder of Thriving Coach Academy. I've trained over 1,000 coaches and helped them launch their own successful coaching businesses. If you want to make an incredible income and impact as a coach and have a lot of fun doing it, I'll show you exactly how to get it done. This is Life Coaching Secrets. What's up, coaches? Welcome back to the show. I'm so excited to be back in the studio with new episodes for you. If you are new here, welcome to the Life Coaching Secrets Podcast. My mission with this show is to support you in becoming the most confident, successful coach you can be and help you establish the coaching business of your dreams. And it's been such an honor to now be on year 4 of the podcast. Wow. If you've been a listener from the start, then I so appreciate your loyalty to the show. And if you are a newer listener, then welcome. Remember to hit that subscribe button so you are updated about all of our episodes. So already this year has been off to a great start. I've been on a couple of fantastic trips. Both were destination weddings. One was down in Cancun, Mexico, and another was in Cartagena, Colombia. And they were so fun. And I am right now recording some episodes before I head off to Brazil next week to celebrate my birthday. So kicking off the year with a lot of travel. Aside from the fun in my personal life, we've had a lot of new coaches recently enroll in Thriving Coach Academy, and it's been so fun to see them start to develop confidence as a coach. And wow, what a great cohort that we have. And we are excited to share with you more resources this year on the podcast and in the academy. If you are interested in Thriving Coach Academy, our full certification program, we just released a new coaching 101 training. This will allow you to understand exactly what you need to know when you're getting started as a coach, and it goes over everything inside our program. So if you're interested in watching that, go to our website, thrivingcoachacademy.com, to watch our recently updated version of our coaching 101 training. Okay, let's see. I've done a lot of reflecting and strategizing during my travels in January. It's interesting how even when I'm not doing the actual work, when I'm away from work and traveling, I sometimes find that having the ability to step away from my work allows me to develop greater insights and awareness and ideas that I didn't have when I was in the work itself. So in those weeks that I was away, I was able to fully strategize and come up with all of the resources I want to create for this podcast over the year. And you are in for quite a treat. I'm not going to give away all the surprises, but there will be some very special guests that we will be featuring on the show this year. So you will have to stay tuned to see who those guests are, but you are going to love them. So in this episode, I wanted to share with you how it is that I got into coaching. It's been a long time since I have really gone into my personal story. I've been in the industry for a decade now, but there are certain parts of my story that I have never shared before, and it's time to share it. I want to be more open, and I want to go deeper in these episodes with you because I know how scary or overwhelming it can be when you're considering starting a business, becoming a coach, or just making a big change in your life. So in this episode and the next couple after this one, I'm going to share with you how I got into the coaching world. I was able to establish the success that I've had as a coach. And hopefully you can hear yourself in this story as well, and it can inspire you to take the next step forward with wherever you are right now. So in this first episode of the few I'll talk about my story, I want to go way, way back to my teenage years. And I want to share with you a very difficult experience I went through that ended up teaching me a really valuable lesson. So as a teenager, I was living a pretty normal life. I was not thinking so much about my future. I was attending school. I grew up on Long Island, New York. I had my family that was that was available for me, and things were going quite well. And then when I was around 16 years old, I started having these very bizarre health issues that came up. And they started to show up mostly when it was late at night and I would try to go to sleep. I couldn't sleep. I was laying in bed and noticed my heart was racing as if I were running a marathon. So I had a lot of anxiety over why was my body acting in this very unusual way. And I remember there would be some nights where I could barely get any sleep at all, and others where I would go into my parents' bedroom and have to tell my parents that I couldn't sleep. And my mom would sometimes come into my room, lay next to me in bed, put her hand over my chest and do deep breathing exercises with me just to calm me down, to slow down my racing heartbeat and help me get sleep. So this created a lot of concern for me, and eventually my parents decided to have me checked out by various doctors, and it became this moment of my life for the first time where I felt really out of control. I didn't know what was going on with my body, and I was concerned that we weren't able to figure it out. And then finally, after blood work was done, doctors had said it was my thyroid that was the issue. I had thyroid levels that were through the roof. So I was told that I had an overactive thyroid and I would have to start taking medication every day in order to get it under control. And I would also need to get continued blood work and labs done in order to make sure that the medication was working properly. And I was told that, if the medication didn't work out, then I would likely need to undergo more serious surgeries and medical treatments. So it seemed like I had gone from living a normal teenage life to suddenly now worrying about my health and my future. And it was the first time in my life that I started to really question how long I really have to live. I started to think about, we don't have forever on this planet. Our time is precious. And it was a moment where I felt like I woke up to my own existence. I'd been going through the motions as a teenager up until all this began to happen. And I needed to try to fix what was happening with my thyroid. On top of that, navigating life as a teenager and all those other things that often happen in teenage years. So this was a really defining moment of my life. And it was a moment that I had a lot of anxiety and fear. But thankfully, after a couple of years of taking medication and getting so much blood work done, seeing so many doctors, my thyroid levels stabilized. And I was told that I would no longer have to take the medication. It would just be something that would be checked every year to make sure things stay as they're supposed to be. But after all this happened, I carried with me this anxiety around my health and around really my longevity. And when even subtle things would happen with my body and my health, I would catastrophize them in my brain. And I would think that, something was failing within my body and, maybe I was going to deal with another mental or physical condition or illness. And, this really affected me mentally because I was constantly stressed about what could happen with my health, what was going to go wrong. I felt like my body was weak and it was working against me. And this was something that frightened me so much, to feel so out of control when it came to my body. And I was relatively healthy too. I was living a healthy lifestyle. So it was even more confusing for me to be dealing with having dealt with that thyroid issue as a teenager. So I had all of this anxiety, and then one day I started to realize that all that I had gone through served as such an important wake-up call in my life. And maybe you've also had an experience like that as well, where something that was terrible and dreadful and scary and hard in your life, it became a wake-up call for you to start showing up with more intention and more clarity and more purpose. And I tried to have that idea and that mentality of what's the purpose that this served for me? How can I grow or learn from this experience? And as I reflected on that, I realized that my thyroid issues and condition I went through, it was a wake-up call for me. It allowed me to start thinking about the life that I wanted to live, the future that I wanted to create. And most importantly, it inspired me to not wait in order to start pursuing my goals and dreams. It reminded me of the fact that every day is precious. We are not guaranteed tomorrow. And that if you are called to something, if you are inspired towards something, then the time to pursue that is now. Because we have this false idea that we can just hold off or wait, but think about all of the people out there that aren't able to do that. They're not given that privilege. So I started to take life with more intention and no longer take it for granted. And as I was finishing up my schooling and college years, I was exploring different career options. And I remembered the lessons I had learned from going through the health scares I had as a teenager. And I thought, I want to make sure that I am doing what I'm called to do, work that is meaningful. I want to live my life with purpose. And I had seen that so many people that were in corporate jobs where they were grinding through the 9 to 5, they were dreading going to work every day. They weren't doing things that they loved. They weren't even making an income that satisfied them. And I told myself, I refuse to let that happen for me. I refuse to waste my life away doing work that doesn't fill me up when there is so much potential that I could create an extraordinary life with. And I didn't want to, again, take my life for granted. So I started reflecting on what career path would light me up, which path would align with my values. And as I started to explore, there was nothing that really aligned for me when it came to working for someone else. And then one day I was doing some research online and I heard this one person talked about the idea of living life on your terms. And I hadn't heard this phrase before, living on your own terms. And that's what planted the seed for entrepreneurship. And up until that point, I thought the normal way you approach life is you work a 9 to 5 for someone else, you devote yourself to a company for several decades, and then you get to retirement, and that's really when you can start to enjoy your life. And I realized, what if I could really work and live on my own terms? What if I could start my own business and create my own schedule and have more flexibility in my income? Not only that, but also being able to do work that's meaningful and that offers a great contribution to others. So I did a lot of research and I knew that I loved the idea of working with people, working directly with people, helping them navigate challenges in their life. I wanted to do work that allowed me to provide a direct contribution to others. And then it was one day I came across the term coach, professional coaching. And it was like everything lit up. All of the stars aligned. I realized this is what I've been looking for. This is what I want to devote my life to doing. This is what I want to pursue. And I didn't want to wait to do it because I was living with such intention. And I wouldn't have had that intention if I didn't have that wake-up call earlier in my life. So I feel like everything made sense once I discovered coaching, because I realized that as a coach, I could make a huge contribution in other people's lives, do work that's very meaningful. I could also have the freedom to work on my terms and have a flexible schedule, work from anywhere I wanted to work. So I realized this is the perfect career for me. This is what's aligned. My heart was totally in it, but my head was not in it right away. I had a lot of doubts and I had a lot of fears and a lot of concerns around what it would look like and how possible it would be for me to become successful as a coach. So in the next episode, I'm going to share with you part 2 of my story of what I have not shared before of what allowed me to connect my head to my heart. And before you go, I want you to reflect on what is a wake-up call in your own life? Have you experienced one before? Maybe it was a health scare like mine, or perhaps it was some kind of drastic change in your life that allowed you to start considering your life with greater intention and purpose, that allowed you to start thinking about the way that you're living your life right now and questioning whether that's how you want to continue living it. Even though those wake-up calls, like for me, was so dreadful, and I absolutely hated going through that stress of worrying about my health. But now I look back and I'm so grateful, because if I didn't have that level of intentionality, I don't know if I would have been so eager to find the path for me and to uncover and discover and fulfill my calling. So what could be your wake-up call that you've experienced? And with that wake-up call, what does it wake you up to do? What decisions does it wake you up to start making? Before we go, I'm going to leave you with a short snippet from an interview I did with one of our coaches in the academy. So you can hear their story about how they've become successful as a coach. Remember to subscribe and leave a review on this podcast if you haven't already. It means so much to us if you leave a couple of sentences about what you love about the show. And I will see you in the next episode for part 2.
My name is Leah Tagliarino. I have been working in digital marketing, doing search engine optimization. Thus far in my career, I didn't feel personally fulfilled. I didn't feel like I could totally show up authentically. I didn't feel like I could, really help people the way that I wanted to. I was really looking for something that would allow me the flexibility and freedom that I want in my life, but also be, personally meaningful to me. And so it was actually my therapist who suggested to me life coaching. I had never heard of it, and she thought that might be a good fit, and did a lot of research and discovered Thriving Coach Academy. I looked at a lot of programs. I scoured the ICF website, and what really drew me to the Academy was the balance between it being self-paced, but also there being a community and there being live classes. A lot of the other programs I found were either or. It was like, multiple hours of live classes a week, which was a little bit too much for me, or totally self-paced, which, I wanted to connect with other coaches and have sort of a balance. So I felt like the Academy was the perfect balance of that. The Academy is full of really passionate people who are really excited to, get the most out of life. And it's really exciting to be in that space. I feel like my decision to enroll in the Academy was one of the first times I've really invested in myself that strongly. And so definitely there was some hesitation, some financial hesitation, am I going to, what's the ROI on this? Am I going to get, is this going to be a waste of money? All those kinds of thoughts, what if I don't do anything with this? And ultimately really came to the decision of it was something I wanted to do for myself. Prior to joining this Academy, even just raising my hand to participate on a group call is something I would have never done. So that feels like a big win for me personally. And I have my first client. So a woman I'll be working with. And I felt very prepared for that and really excited. I see myself having a successful business where I can make the income that I want through coaching. And work for myself, which is something that I've always wanted to do, be my own boss and do things, authentically to myself the way that I want to do them. And I'm really excited to have that impact on people. Even just, I get excited to have conversations with people and to coach. So the idea of waking up and just doing that every day is very exciting to me. If you're considering the Academy, I would definitely encourage you to enroll. It is paced in a way that is very open to, whatever speed you want to go at and whatever level you want to jump in at. I had never heard of life coaching really and never had done any coaching prior to joining the Academy. And now I feel great when I end sessions. And so I think it's a great program and definitely awesome for anyone who wants to build the life that they want.
Hey, would you like access to powerful coaching tools you can use on yourself and clients right away? For being a listener of the podcast, I'm giving you a VIP guest pass to get a sneak peek into my coach training program. Inside, you'll learn our coaches' secret tool they use to transform their clients' lives. And you'll also get a training on how to launch a coaching business. Just head over to www.thrivingcoachacademy.com/VIP to get started. I'll see you on the inside.